Welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. Advice, thoughts, and stories from a married couple on cybersecurity, technology, and life in general. Now here are your hosts, Didi and Lital.
Hello and welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. Hey Didi, it's another
Lital.
week.
It's another week.
This time you went to New York.
Yes, I went to New York. I went to the Major League Baseball offices. Wow, that building is fucking beautiful.
Where is it?
On 6th. It's on 6th. You if you run from the park down 6th, you'll see a big building saying MLB store and stuff like that. You'll know.
Okay.
You can't miss it. It's like
6th Ave. Okay.
You can't miss it. Offices are unbelievable. If anybody wants an example of how to build a policy to go back to the office, you build an office that looks like that, I am there. I'll be there every fucking day.
Maybe you need to go work for MLB?
Nope.
You're happy at Cisco.
I'm happy at Cisco. But legit place, interesting place. Love the customer, love the place, love the everything.
It's awesome.
But I plan to, eventually we'll build another startup. Yes.
And go back to office.
Never. I like to wear sweatpants for work.
Can have an office that you can come with your sweatpants.
No. Unfortunately, I'm always like the responsible adult. I can't come to work in sweatpants. Also, I really liked dressing up. I dressed up all week. Like I came in a jacket and jeans like our buddy Dave here that people are not saying here. But I can get the look. You know that if I don't want to take the look, I can do the look.
I think going back to the office would be a nice thing. Not for every day, but like twice, 3 times a week. It's nice.
I like falling out of bed onto the tread.
You can fall out of bed, go to into the tread, and then go to the office.
Yes. By the way, one of the things that I've seen that places that actually will attract me to come back to the office is have a legit gym, either in the building or like really.
In New York, it's easy. You have a gym across the street, basically everywhere.
Yeah. Like we have a
Over there is a Lifetime that is really nice across the street.
No, there's a Lifetime in the Cisco building.
Oh, there is a Lifetime. That's where the Cisco building is. It's a nice Lifetime.
It's a good Lifetime.
It is a good Lifetime.
And then they put a pickleball court in.
Yeah, there is a huge pickleball court, across the street from Madison Square Garden.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So back to the key points.
We don't play pickleball.
We don't play pickleball, and we will not play. We will not.
Yet.
We will not play pickleball.
Don't say.
I know how you throw things. You can't throw things. So
that is true. I cannot. Like when I try to play tennis as a kid, they send me back to gymnastics. So,
yes.
Yeah.
You cannot play pickleball.
No, I cannot throw balls and hit balls. That's not my thing.
And I'm too competitive because the whole idea of pickleball is to play socially.
Yeah, it's like matgot, whatever
exactly.
you call it.
I don't do social. I do
like
kill. I do kill the opposition. I don't do social. I win. I will win at anything. If it's possible to compete in it, I will win it.
Okay. That's why we're going to run you to school committee in Newton.
Yes. Crush your opposition.
Because we need you to win.
Yes.
We're making an announcement. You're going to run.
Yes. I will win because I win.
Okay. We'll take care of it. Good.
Cool.
Hype Cycle.
Hype Cycle.
Well, you came from a Gartner event like a month ago, and in general...
2 weeks ago, because I landed right before...
Yeah, by the time this is, it will be a while, so it doesn't matter.
Who cares?
And we've been talking for a while about this trend putting, Hype Cycle by Gartner. Things go in, things go out, and you felt like it's a good topic to explain, to bring up, and to talk why it matters, if it matters. Because, a lot of the things that Gartner puts, people just dismiss and, say, it's a Gartner way of, making the vendors pay more, or like they put whatever the big vendor tells them to put.
I think what happens is marketing people become jaded, especially old marketing people. They get jaded. But
we're doing it for a while, so we
Yes.
know how things work.
yes, but the hype cycle. So let's go back to the core stuff. Before we talk about the Gartner hype cycle, let's talk about the hype cycle in general. So the Gartner hype cycle is a way to describe I believe a true, sociological behavior by people. By the way, I believe that everything is sociology. Everything is sociology. Even science is sociology. The how people behave as a group. So, and that's coming from somebody that is not very good at being social. The idea is that humans, are dumb tribe animals, and they behave in certain ways that have been there for a bazillion years. Even, I think, producer Dave and I mentioned this now a couple of times in various episodes, that the individual is smart, but people are stupid, as Men in Black stated multiple times. And the thing is that when something new comes up, there's a big spike of everybody likes the new thing. You can look at this from, remember when mortgages were the thing and real estate was the thing. And
I mean, fashion is... everything is fashion,
Everything
right?
is fashion.
Human beings have this tendency of ideas or things becoming contingent.
Yes.
Like we pass rumors, we pass
Contagious, you mean.
stories. Contagious, yes, like the mind virus.
Yes.
So, it just depends how strong and the virality
Yes.
of the thing is. And with that, something becomes fashionable. People go and try it, and it takes time for it to pick up. There is, if you read Crossing the Chasm, it's all like those people that are early adopters. They like trying new stuff. They always going to go with whatever is the newest, coolest thing, even if they're not sure what it is for and how it's going to help them. And they will start using and advocate and tell people that there are those that are multipliers of the news, that are very socially connected and will tell others, go try, I like it. They're not necessarily the ones that are trying it or the most tech savvy, but they're the ones that go and spread the news. And then they're kind of like the majority. The news came to them, and at a certain point at the beginning, they may be dismissive, or we don't need that, or why, or what's the cost of actually doing it versus doing something else. And then they're like, okay, I'll give it a try. And depends on how interesting the product, solution, thing, fashion is versus how much virality it has, people talking about it. Like I think at the time when ChatGPT was launched, I think sometime in November, was it 2023? Can't believe 2023, I think. I think it's only 2.5 years. So whenever it was launched, I think that was probably the most viral product on earth in terms of how quick people went and tried it, and it became something that people use daily. But even with that, there was this drop that only a portion of the people that tried it actually kept on using it on a regular basis. I think whatever the adoption is today, probably if you are a student, you use it more. If you're in marketing, you use it more. And
let's go back to let's go back to explaining the how the curve looks like.
Yeah,
and talk about it from a non-technical example, and then talk about it from a couple of products that we look at and how Gartner is talking about it. So everything when we talk about a hype cycle, because of how humans behave, let's assume tulips, because of the Dutch tulip crisis.
Okay, but let's tell the story for those that don't know the historical story of the tulips.
So for those that don't know the historical story of the tulips, in the Netherlands, at some point in time, basically very much like the stock market, everybody wanted tulips. And
There was a commodity, like every commodity.
Commodity
Tulips were imported, sold,
Exactly.
so they have a price.
exactly. And it got to a point in time where the price of tulips became like a single bud of a tulip became as expensive as a boat or a house. And then at some point in time, somebody said, "What the fuck? Stupid flowers," and went like down. And
That's a bubble.
that's a bubble, and the bubble burst, and everything went
Because
down.
the value you are actually getting from the goods doesn't
not-
correspond with the price it has. That the demand is actually not real.
Yes.
A bubble is when the demand is overinflated.
The demand will never actually
Be what people think it is.
exactly
When
And
people
that-
make up the demand,
exactly and
make
then
assumptions about that.
and eventually, people still buy tulips, and the tulip market stabilized, and that's called the trough of disillusionment in the Gartner Hype Cycle, and then it gets to basically productizing and a stable.
Whomever needs tulips, whoever likes tulips, will keep on buying. Maybe the new tulip lover born, maybe the population of tulip lovers
We had
grow.
tulips. Remember, we had tulips in our front yard in Cloverdale. I think
Until bunnies ate the buds, and
Until the
like
bunnies ate the buds.
It went away. So,
maybe we
yeah.
need to spray it with cat piss again. Anyways,
I'm lazy.
Anyways, then people stabilize, and the degrees of angles of the graph of how high you go, how low you go, how well you stabilize. Can you leap? When people talk about leaping the chasm, they mean never go into the trough of disillusionment and go directly into stabilizing. And you can talk about this in terms of every industry, every solution, everything you see. Are we in a hype cycle? And people want to bring things back into the hype cycle. For example, when we talk about identity governance, people want to. There was a big spike of this a couple of years ago in the first run when SailPoint and Savient and a lot of those companies were created, Avexa. Then it kind of fizzled away. Then Okta brought it back. It fizzled away. There was another wave recently, and now that Okta IPO, that everybody is assuming that there'll be another hype, that everybody's seeing how much money SailPoint is making, and people are gonna look at their growth numbers, because that's a $7 billion valuation company growing at 30%. So everybody will want to dip their toe there. So this is an example of the hype cycle.
Is it driven by innovation, by customer behavior, need? What do we think drives an emerging hype cycle, emerging hype?
So I think before we think of what drives it, you know what the most important thing is, a surfer? You need to know?
Ride the wave.
Where you are on the wave.
Okay.
One of the most important thing you need to know as a surfer is where you are at the wave, when it's going to break, when it's going to start, when it's going to go up, when it's going to come down.
Okay.
So if you are working in any company, tech companies just have this very much like the tulips, because as you said with ChatGPT,
because the innovation level is high. Like if you are in the toothpaste market, people just buy toothpaste. But by the way, there is a need to innovate over there, because if company wants to upsell to basically rise prices, nobody will pay for a regular toothpaste more. But if you have now a toothpaste with special technology that does more, you can charge another 50 cents on it. So
one thing
there is even the innovation,
I agree.
but that's
We need to
where
measure the
tech is
oscillation of the wave.
different than other things, that basically consumption is stable.
So when we think it's easy to consume technology. So for me to consume anything, like if you want to roll out another MFA, at least to POC this, to see this, to try this, it's not long. It doesn't take a long time. Versus if I want to change a manufacturing line, that takes years. If
Yeah.
I want to make any change in a manufacturing thing, it takes years.
Yeah, because it's real hardware,
Exactly.
expensive one, real estate, the cost of training people.
Yep.
You don't change stuff.
Yeah, with software, you can just click a button, and so the oscillation of the wave is very high. So you
Right.
need
The cost of change is very low.
the cost of change is not high. The oscillation is high. So what you want to be able to do is assess where you are in the oscillation of the wave. Are you up? Are you in the upward trend? Are you in the downward trend? It's basically trying to understand like the stock market. Are you at the part where you need to buy, or are you in the part that needs to sell and get out of this? So this is a key part. And your buddy Lockhead, by the way, when he talks about this, he says that some people are smart and can control this, but they can guess this. But he suggests that you control this when you invent
A new category.
when you govern the category.
Which is basically, if you think about it, it's a little bit like the example of what I said with the toothpaste. Like, if you're looking at a category that is already plateauing, people use it, they have a need, but there is no innovation going there, and it's basically the market is saturated. Usually 1, 2 max big players there, maybe a long tail of smaller players, and the market is set. Everybody sits on what they have, and that's it. There is like regular growth over there, but it's usually in the low percentile growth, which is basically new companies get to the stage that they need to buy your tech because of whatever, and they'll buy it, but the cycle is not that big. A lot of companies look at those type of markets and they come with like, I'm going to disrupt the market. So I'm going to add something completely new, completely different, add capabilities, call it something, keep all the basics that you have in the category that's stagnated, but now say I am a new thing. AI is helping a lot of categories do that, do all kinds of stuff like add zhuzh to it. Basically, toothpaste is not just the basic, menthol flavor and a little bit of fluoride. I now have, something that prevents malodor for 24 hours, molecules of whatever, and you now call it, I don't know, antibacterial.
It's better. I'll put AI on the toothpaste box and it will tell you how long you need to brush. It will sing what's
Oral-B already has this thing that they tell you how long to brush.
The Tamagotchi will probably come back. Remember the Tamagotchis?
That's you kill them?
Hmm?
The one you kill? Like nobody...
I never wanted a Tamagotchi.
Me neither, but it's basically was it in the 90s?
90s. Tamagotchis were in the 90s.
This little thing that
was supposed to be like an AI animal.
A virtual animal. You need to feed the Tamagotchi. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, back to the topic. So one way to, make money out of that, as we said, is to look at those categories that are stagnating and actually go disrupt them. If they're in this place in the cycle, they're mature. People understand why they need them, why they're using them. It's like MFA. People know that they need MFA. It's kind of like the basics.
Yep.
But it also started not working. So you can go use the already well-established understanding of what's the category, what it's doing, what's in it for me, the well-established budget that exists, and just say, I'm disrupting this, I'm doing better, maybe improve the cost structure, maybe improve the offering, and there you go. You already have, it's hard because you have very established old players, but at the same time, you're fighting with very established old players.
Yep.
That's a positive.
Yep. And this is the thing. Will you create a blip or will you create a wave? This is the big question of can you create a wave? Because we know if we're going to stick with the MFA, we know that at some point in time, 80% of the MFA market was RSA, with tokens.
Right.
And then it got disrupted by the fact that it moved into the consumer space. And so
Duo came in.
Duo, others came in. It's SMS vendors came in. Vendors came in. RSA came in. There was a big spike. Kind of the Sayora and Passmark adaptive authentication came in, got acquired, merged into the companies, and basically turned this spike into a wave. So, and you had that once, and then you had the move to mobile in terms of the mobile authentication. Then you had the resistance element of this. So I think you can see that there's a way to spark an interest. And if you spark an interest as a company for the established, and you can convince them that there will be a wave or not, it basically creates a wave of acquisitions.
Do you think customers care about the wave and where a technology is in the wave versus it's more for investors, it's more like strategic looking?
No, I think customers should care about the wave, because first they need to understand the flux. How much will this change? Because a customer needs to understand for themselves. I'll give you the example with the SIM technologies. Some companies just buy Splunk because they know that it's the SIM world is way, way, way at the tail end of the wave.
Maturity.
And they don't want to rock the boat. They know that they need to collect this for compliance. They know they need to collect this for security.
So you buy the biggest, the most stable, most known, cannot go wrong with an IBM or Splunk.
Exactly. Nobody will fire you for buying Cisco. Nobody will fire you for buying IBM. The old sayings, you buy Splunk and you're good. You've done your diligence. You've done your responsibility. When somebody talks about an XDR or something like this that is different in the hype cycle, could be that you just spend time and effort and money on something that may go into the trough and never come out. I'm not saying that this is the case with XDR. You are saying that that's the case with XDR, but the idea is that you want to. If you are Bank of America, you shouldn't. Well, this is a bad example. Bank of America should buy on the before.
They're doing both. I mean, Bank of America. I mean, the big players typically they buy the well-established one, but many times they also invest, but also try, because they have enough people to go try innovation and go. They can manage the incompleteness, and they can also manage the change management in case they need to swap something.
There's also another thing. So the reason that I said Bank of America that I regretted, if you're Bank of America, you have the biggest target on your back. So you have to innovate.
You have to innovate.
You have to innovate.
Yeah. Financial services, the big ones, that they do innovate a lot, but also they will buy all the big, well-established products.
But if you're one of the 3 companies that process chickens in the US and make money hand over fist and nobody knows that you exist,
all you need to care about is not being shut down by ransomware.
Exactly. So you need
having your operations going.
Yeah, exactly. So you need to go at the tail end of the tail.
Because we all know when food processing, manufacturing goes down for a week, this is a pain for everyone, and it's horrible.
Especially in the US, where these things are centralized. The fact that you have 3 chicken processors is a disaster, and that's why we.
They had I think was it Tyson Foods that had a horrific. COVID. No, they also had a huge ransomware attack.
Okay, cool.
It happened.
So
okay, so you're saying you're a customer, you do need to think a little bit about what's your approach to the hype cycle. Basically, you want to try AI, you go with the hype. Yes, you understand that it may not be very mature and it may still be very kind of rocky. And some of the vendors you're buying from may not survive and flip, but some will, and you are willing to go and try it. But there are some areas you want to go with kind of stability, and areas you don't want to change.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So that's for customers. let's say you're now an entrepreneur, kind of like typically most entrepreneurs will build companies that go into, the very, very early stages of hype, pre-hype. I think you like thinking about what we just talked about, the other side. So what's your kind of thoughts for entrepreneurs and for investors investing in them? How to look at that?
So there's a couple of things. So I always recommend staying away from the musical chairs. There's the musical chairs thing that happens. Let's talk about investors. Investors always go into the musical chair part.
Well, because over there, if you go to the early, like if you are really a VC, early stage VC going into, the alpha, you need to go as early before the hype as possible. Actually, if you are already getting into hype, probably you may not do as well. But, there's going to be one whiz. We just saw the unbelievable acquisition by Google. Congrats to everyone involved. Some will say overhyped, some will say amazing, but whatever. I mean, that's a typical company that was one of the first to go into cloud security, created the hype cycle for cloud security, led it, and got the biggest acquisition, I think, in cybersecurity ever.
I think what they did was a good example of Microsofting things, which is they came in second after Orca. They jumped on the bandwagon after the category was there. Mm-hmm. They just won the category. They
won the category.
They came in with best.
They became the king.
So this is an important thing to think about. One, you need to think of yourself as a VC and as a entrepreneur. Some people are very good at innovation, at inventing a category. Some people are just very good at winning. If you're good at winning a category, like coming in and saying, you know what, I'm late to the game, but what I can do is build the best second place. Being the best second place is the best place to be.
I don't think Orca was like number one when they came. Maybe they started in, 2 years earlier.
When they came in, they invented the category. They explained to the market why this is necessary.
Right.
It's very much like Palo Alto and Checkpoint. Checkpoint invented the firewall space.
Yep.
Palo Alto won it. The Wiz is the second example of if you are going for the long haul, if you're going for the long race, if you want to go all the way, come in as the best second because you will win. And this happens a lot.
It's like VHS versus Beta at the time or whatever.
You can let number one make all the mistakes.
And learn from it and just crush it.
Exactly.
Go run with it.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Microsoft. They came in after Apple. And they understood exactly everything that they needed to learn. And they slowly and methodically won. And this is true for almost all the time. There's like this joke.
Actually, CrowdStrike is also...
after Mandiant. After Mandiant...
there were a few other...
Cyber Reason. But they came in after...
a bunch of other players and crushed everyone in the market.
If you're not very innovative, but your GTM is good...
GTM wins the day.
GTM wins the day. So this is an advantage. Coming in and understanding that it's on the uptick of the hype cycle, and you can execute, or even at the top of the hype cycle, and you can execute, you can basically jump the chasm and go and take over the market.
Wiz is an amazing execution. Customers love them.
Exactly.
Huge retention numbers. And
so this
amazing GTM.
So this is if you want to go big. If you're an entrepreneur and you want to go big, this is the way to go.
Right.
Don't go first. Let a whole bunch of people experiment and just own the category if you can. But that will almost never be. And
it's a matter of luck as well.
No, it's not. You'll see that.
I mean, they tried to do it. If you think about it, it was the Adalom guys at the time.
This is the part that I wanted to tell you.
It's similar.
You'll see that the people that have won the market are always second, third time entrepreneurs.
Yes, because they've done it. They succeeded in some shape or form, but they didn't crush it. They learned from it, and then they went again.
Doug Sung, the founder of Duo, had another startup, Arbor Networks, before.
Arbor was successfully
But
acquired,
not as successful
successful
as Duo. And what he said is you need to get, and I'm using the fact that baseball season just started, I'm using the fact that you need to be able to get to first base a couple of times before you try to get the home run.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing that you'll see, that almost every time, with the exception of a few players, most of the time, the second time founders or the second time players, somebody that was in the inner circle of a startup, that was de facto a founder, they're the ones that are able to hit it out of the park. So
I think because it's a lot about your GTM, and it takes time to learn those things. Like you can be an amazing technologist and build the best technology and product and stuff. Learning how to build this machine of a product that is sticky and you can sell and has a selling emotion that fits very well with your product is an art, and it takes time to perfect. And I think only second, third time is it's just you learn so much by doing. Very hard to get it out of the gate.
Yes.
So let's talk about what if not getting into a category that will be hyped.
So the other thing to do is get the musical chair part. Like, you'll see a lot of companies that sell in the Series A because they're very good at getting the VCs and or the companies that will acquire. So the big players know that they can't innovate. So they have to acquire something to be able to say that they're players in a big category.
They need to own several categories. You can see all of them. You go to Magic Quadrants, they appear in like 30, 40 different categories of Magic Quadrants.
Yeah.
Most of it thanks to the acquisitions.
Yes. And what you want as an entrepreneur, especially first-time entrepreneur, know to discover when people are in this musical chair part, that they know that they have to have a dance partner. The first company to be sold will usually make okay. The second will make the most. The third and fourth will be basically sloppy thirds, because the people with the deepest pockets will do 1, 2, and 3. After that, and you saw this with the SOAR companies, that the first companies like Phantom and Demisto made a lot of money.
Yeah, Phantom was acquired by Splunk, and Demisto was it Palo? Oh, but
who cares?
Yeah.
And Resilience was bought by IBM, being bought by IBM. Anyways, this is kind of tells you the story that you need to make sure that you get the good dance partners, not the bad dance partners. So be aware that, are you planning for a long haul or you're planning for a short? Understand where, and that's when you sell on the uptick, because once it starts going down, it's time to either pivot, close shop, or do whatever. Understand, if you
sell to a P.
Exactly. If you gambled your product on a hype cycle, be aware that once it starts going down, everything is going down.
Okay. What else?
I think that's it. At least that's
Excellent.
it for me.
Well, I hope we help people think about that. If you're an entrepreneur thinking about the hype cycle and like where you want to be, which category to play in, think about, your options. If you have good ideas and you want to share with us, let us know. We're happy to have people on the podcast.
Yes.
So if you want to come, tell people about what you're working on, what you're excited on, happy to share it with our audience. The Didi and Lital Show is a weekly podcast. Thank you for joining us. Please rate us wherever you're getting it and share with friends. We will see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.